Alright. Let's see. So I'm still finishing off my lunch, but otherwise I think I'm good to go. So my plan is I'm gonna play the opening song, and I will try to finish off the last of my soup while it plays. So let's get this up and running. Hello, Ice Starmie! Hello!
In a monochrome world, broken from the side through her lonely eyes. It reflects the ocean and stars, but her cry echoes around the simple loss of love in her heart, making this whole fairy tale alive. Youth and sorrow's tender embrace. This was never meant to happen. The day, the only reason you have to stay. Hear me sing my song and just keep holding on. Cinderella, why don't you stay with me tonight? We will dance until midnight comes and we could run away. Oh, we will never ever be apart. Set aside all your fears, this magic lives inside your heart. I am here, would you wanna stay with me tonight? Follow me, we will run across the bridge of fantasy. Oh, all the pain and sadness that you feel. Believe in me, hold me close, don't never let me go. Come and stay with me forever. Magic lives so long as I am here.
And I have achieved my goals, and my food is eaten, and I'm all good to get started. Also, I finally installed the AC, so I will not melt from heat on this quite warm day from where I am. Let me just do a little fix of a thing. Sorry, I'm messing with my camera again, like I do. That's the wrong one! Oh no! Yeah, alright, sorry about that. I'm gonna call this good enough. Oh, yay, okay, the thing is working again. There we go. It was bothering me that the two sides of my camera were so uneven. It's a little less uneven now. Also, I do apologize. Let me know if there's any problems with, like, the AC sound interfering with, like, my mic or anything, but I'm gonna hope it's not. It looks fine from my audio slider bar thing. So yeah. And by the way, sorry about last week. My internet cut out. Like, there was a major outage in my area, and I had no internet with which to stream. I technically could have. The only internet I had was my phone, and my phone is not really an ideal internet to stream from, even if I could do it with this game. Anyway, so we are picking back up at the beginning of Chapter 7. Chapter 7, Muddled Truths. Rumpel. And you, my little sunflower, are just as radiant as always. Woman A. Oh my, Rumpel. Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself, it's like that whole thing with Bria never happened. He is back to flattering every woman he meets. Karma. Overthinking again, princess? I turn to see Karma grinning at me from where he sits at a table. Surprisingly, he is sitting with Jurian and Garland today, who are arguing about some kind of knight's stance. Not surprising if you played Karma's route. Lucette. It is none of your business. Karma. No, it's not, but you have such a sad look on your face that I had to ask. Lucette. I'd appreciate you not staring at my face. Karma. I don't need to stare to see that you're in distress. I turn on my heels and begin to walk away, irritated. Even when I am among other people, it is impossible to forget the conversation I had with Parfait and Delora. It hovers at the back of my mind constantly. Lucette, thinking to herself. We have not spoken again since then, yet even now, I am still taking in what they told me before. My mother, the Tenebrarum bearer, and me, a witch. The reason others have always feared me is because of my blood. I suppress a sigh as I attempt to return to my work. As the days go by, I notice myself becoming more and more agitated. Half of it is the recent history lesson, and the other half is Rumpel's flirting with other women. Lucette, thinking to herself, how can he just snap his fingers and get over Bria so quickly? If he flatters every woman, does that mean he does not really mean the things he says to me? I gather the plates off the counter, put them on a tray, and take them to the customers. Today, everything feels mechanical. For the last few days, I've been noticing that I walk more stiffly, and that if I walk too quickly, my vision blurs. That seems concerning. Oh man, I'm just like, I wonder if Lucette is coming down with an illness or something, and I was like, that sounds concerning, that sounds like she's sick or something, and then I'm like, oh, Rumpel is a doctor, and Lucette getting sick, there could be a really cute bit with him nursing her back to health. I could get behind that. Lucette, thinking to herself, probably because of my overthinking. I stumble as I bring a tray to a familiar customer. The man looks up at me and asks if I am okay, and I murmur that I am before walking off. The blurriness comes back. Lucette, thinking to herself, what is wrong with me? I look over at Rumpel, who is at a table with two girls because his shift is over. Rather than boil over on the inside, I feel myself getting warmer on the outside. Yeah, she's definitely ill. Lucette, thinking to herself, my skin feels clammy. I have to force myself to take a breath as I get the next round of orders. My last order for the day is for one of the girls at Rumpel's table. Lucette, thinking to herself, I don't want to go over there. I start carrying the tray towards the table, biting down on my lip as the sway comes back into my step. As I draw closer, I notice Rumpel and the girls laughing about something. I grit my teeth and pause in front of them to lay down the tray. Woman A. This isn't mine, it's my friend's. Woman B. Yes, I was the one who ordered the soup. Yeah, well, when you have a Dr. Li, I assume you mean it's not hard for the developers to have the MC get sick so there can be a hurt comfort scene. The two stare at me. Instead of handing the soup off, they wait for me to move the bowl. But before I can reach over and move it, Rumpel slides it over to the other girl himself. For a few moments, there is a fragment of a scowl on his face. Rumpel. How are you doing today, my sweet princess? Lucette. Silence. When I think about speaking, the words catch feebly in my throat. I turn to walk off. Rumpel. Princess? Woman A. Still as cold as ice. Woman B. The title Ice Princess definitely suits her. How can you dote on her, Rumpel? Lucette. Silence. Despite the numbness of my mind, I still feel angry. Oh, I see. It's hard for the developers to resist the temptation to have the MC get sick, so that there can be a hurt comfort scene. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. When there's a doctor love interest, you gotta have the main character get sick. Gotta have that hurt comfort. I am actually really here for her comfort as a trope, so I'm excited for it. I turn around so quickly that I make myself stumble. I feel myself teetering, on the edge of falling, but something stops me. Warm hands reach out to grab mine before I can fall. Through my dizziness, I can see Rumpel standing in front of me. Rumpel. Princess, look at me. He puts a hand under my chin and angles my head so I can see him better. The expression on his face is suddenly serious. He looks at me for a few moments before he places a hand on my forehead. Rumpel. Princess, you have a fever. A really high fever, actually. You should go back to your room and rest. I'll drop by with some medication in a few minutes after I say goodbye to these ladies. Lucette. I am fine. My voice comes out hoarse. Trying to clear my throat only makes me feel more miserable. Rumpel. Princess, you are not fine. You look like you're about to collapse. Lucette, thinking to herself, oh my, oh no. Thinking to herself, I will not collapse. I am stronger than that. Mother taught me how to be strong. Time for the usual PSA. Lucette's mother was super emotionally abusive. It's not a good idea to try and tough out sickness. You're just going to make yourself feel worse for longer. If you are sick, drink plenty of fluids and rest. PSA. Ugh, oh my goodness. Lucette, silence. Mother. My thoughts become scrambled. Once again, my mind wanders, but this time I cannot keep myself steady as I try to walk away. Putting one foot in front of the other proves to be too difficult, and I once again feel myself start to stumble. Then I feel warmth, this time arms instead of hands. Rumpel. Sweet little princess, what am I going to do with you? Aww, I'm sorry, that's actually very cute. Before I can understand what is happening, I am lifted off my feet. I feel an arm supporting my back and another supporting me beneath the crook of my knees. Lucette, thinking to herself. Warmth. Such nice warmth. Rumpel. You really are stubborn, aren't you, Princess Lucette? I guess I'll just have to carry you up myself. Alright, and we have our first choice of the chapter. Ugh. It feels more like Lucette to struggle, but on the other hand, I like the romantic potential for romantic development of lean against him. Also, at this point, she's clearly crushing on him, and also she's very sick, so... We'll see how that goes. I can always go back and do the other one if I'm wrong. Lucette, thinking to herself. My body is so weak anyway. Even if I wanted to struggle, I would not be able to. I slowly lean my head against his chest. Rumpel, shocked. Princess? You concede that you need help? Lucette. No. Rumpel is still so stubborn. There is indistinctive murmuring behind him that probably belongs to the girls. Rumpel responds to them in a low voice. Rumpel. Stubborn she may be, but my sweet princess is stronger than any other woman I've ever known. Lucette. So warm. Rumpel. Ah, but not as warm as you are right now, princess. His voice slowly begins to fade out as I close my eyes. Yeah, this feels like it was maybe the wrong choice. Yeah. I'm gonna go back. And it makes sense, because it's more like Lucette to struggle, so... Lucette, thinking to herself. I cannot just let him carry me up like this. I attempted to move away from him, but my whole body is weak. It is all I can do to try and roll out of his arms, but even that does not work. Rumpel. If you fall, you'll get a bump on your head, you know? Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself. I am not weak. I do not need anyone taking care of me. There are voices, an indistinct chattering behind him that belongs to the girls. Rumpel speaks in a low voice. Yes, and this is so far the same. Rumpel. Stubborn as she may be, but my sweet princess is stronger than any other woman I've ever known. He pulls me closer to him, and I feel his chest at my head. Then his heartbeat. Rumpel. Aw, okay, yeah, this is sweet. Okay, I can get behind this. Rumpel. I know you're strong, princess. Stronger than anyone else, even. But because you are strong, I know you'll never admit to needing help. Yeah, I can see how it makes sense to do the one that is more like Lucette. Like, it's pretty unlike her to not attempt to show a strong face even when she's not doing well. Rumpel. That's why I'm going to help you without your permission. I'm sorry. Slowly, I let myself settle in his arms. I lean my head into his chest and listen to his heartbeat. It is a gentle, sweet sound that makes me feel like drifting into slumber. Lucette, out loud. So warm. Yes, and then Rumpel. Ah, but not as warm as you are right now, princess. His voice slowly begins to fade out as I close my eyes. For the time being, I stop caring about everything else around me. I forget about Mother, about my talk with Delora and Parfait, about the crystal, the Marchen, and I focus on Rumpel. Lucette, thinking to herself, is it so selfish to want to be the only person held like this by him, even when he was engaged to someone before? Slumber slowly reaches up to claim me, darkness intermingling with warmth. In that last moment, I think I see Rumpel smile at me. Yeah, in the right choice, we have him acknowledging that she is already strong. Like, it's sweet. I like it. That was a very, very similar scene that time, but the one where she tried to struggle, like, to be like, no, I don't need help even though I'm extremely sick with a high fever, which is very her again, was a slightly longer and much sweeter scene with a lot of, like, little added nice bits, so I liked that. Like, it was just a couple sentences added here and there, but, like, it certainly made a positive difference. Right, so slumber slowly reaches up to claim me, darkness intermingling with warmth. In that last moment, I think I see Rumpel smile at me. Oh my, oh no. Okay, that, again, little content warning, I've mentioned already, just in case anyone is not prepared, Lucette's mother was very emotionally abusive. Generally speaking, that becomes very clear in these flashback scenes. Young Lucette. Mother, I have to tell you about the fairy tale that the children read to me today. Mother. Lucette, what did I tell you about the fairy tales? Young Lucette. But there was a princess just like me. She found her Prince Charming and... Mother. Fairy tales are not real. Young Lucette. But they make really good stories, Mother. Mother. They are false stories. Do you really think it would be so easy to live happily ever after? Young Lucette. No, but... Mother. Fairy tales make things black and white. Real life is full of grays. Okay, actually, you know what? For once, you know, that whatever that is about a broken clock being right twice a day. Yeah, Lucette's mother's not wrong here. Like, she has a very valid reason to dislike the fairy tales. And also, fairy tales make things black and white. Real life is full of grays. That is a very true statement. Like, there is a little bit of a... Like, in real life, I think there's a little bit of a problem with, like, you know, Hollywood selling the myth of the perfect romance. Like, real relationships take work. And, I mean, if you're lucky, it won't feel like work, but, you know... It's... Life is not like fairy tales, and that's true. Right, Ice Starmie? As much as Lucette's mother was wrong about many things, like, we totally understand why she hated the fairy tales so much. It was, I mean, not even just the thing I'm saying here, where it's like, okay, it gave this really idealized view of life, which is not very realistic, and I think that can actually cause people problems. But also, like, Lucette's mother had a super legit reason to be upset with the fairy tales, because in this universe, you don't just have the problem we have in real life with, like, sort of media presenting impossible ideals. You also have real-world witches who are suddenly being persecuted and treated like they're evil exclusively because of the fairy tales. And I don't think that's why that happened in, like, that, although that technically did also happen in real life. Like, you know, there are not real witches, but people were persecuted as witches, but, like, but, like, in this world, the fact that the fairy tales always presented witches as evil, it's like, you could have thrown, like, come on, Hans whatever, you could have thrown in, like, a good witch here or there, like, you know, Wizard of Oz style. you know, I do think it's really legit in this world to be upset, for any witch to be upset about the fairy tales, because the fairy tales casting witches as uniformly evil is why humans started seeing them as uniformly evil and started persecuting them. And so, like, 100%, Lucettes' mother is right. Genuinely, I think, in the right to be upset at the fairy tales. So, anyway, we'll see if this gets worse, but so far this is not as bad as some of the flashbacks. But then again, if her mother is like, hating the fairy tales is one thing, being, like, unreasonable to your daughter is another. We'll see how this goes. So, mother. Fairy tales make things black and white. Real life is full of grays. Young Lucette. Black and white? Mother. Good and evil. No one is totally evil, and no one is totally good. Even princes are not completely just. Okay, so far I am totally agreeing with Lucette's mother here. This is also true. Good and evil. No one is completely... I absolutely believe that. There is no one who is totally evil and no one who is totally good. Occasionally you get people who are, like, majority one or the other, but usually... I mean, my personal... I'm an idealist. My personal belief is that most people are sort of fundamentally good unless something has happened to them to change that. But there are some bad eggs out there, for sure. But even them, like... Even really bad people are, like, I mean, there are monstrous people that exist in this world, but most people who do bad things are not totally evil. They're just... You can have a bad person and not have an evil one. Does that make sense? Like, I'm just like, you know, there are bad people in this world, for sure, but it's rare that there are people who are pure evil through and through. Just as it's rare that there are people who are pure good through and through. Yeah, Ice Starmie, as much as, like, as much as I love the game, I think it did not do a good job when it comes to talking about the witch hunt and the Great War. I agree, like, it's kind of doing this whole, yep, witches were horribly persecuted, but we're gonna just kind of skim over that most of the time, and present the part how witches reacted a little disproportionately and got all corrupted by the Tenebrarum and then became evil, like, for actual. Yeah, exactly. The game shows much more of the evil that the witches do than the evil that the humans do, and... Wow, yeah, you're right, we don't even get the name of any witches who were killed in the witch hunts. Like, yeah, this game is dealing with a really serious topic and being a little dismissive about it. Like, 100%, as I've said many times while playing this game, like, the witches, like, what happened to the witches was deeply unfair. And, like, not just unfair, it was, like, unconscionable. Like, that, like, the witch persecution, especially because, like, witches and fairies are considered distinct from humans, I think it's not unfair to call that, like, humans were attempting genocide. Like, sure, Lucette's mother became, you know, it's the, we talked about, Ice Starmie pointed out before, it's the let me be evil trope of the, like, you know, you want me to be evil? Fine, I'll be evil. But, and I'm sure, maybe she also went too far, but, like, this game sure does like to focus on how she went too far and sort of minimize how the humans had gone too far before she ever even thought about retaliating. I still think that the person she killed was the person who was writing fairy tales. I also think, like, if well, I'm not gonna comment on Parfait not taking action when she could have, because we know that she's, like, the queen of that. But, like, I do think it would have been nice if somebody had sat there and been like, hey, Hans, have you considered that, you know, witches are not really like that, and that you're causing, irreparable harm to their image to be writing them always as evil? Speaking of things that media does problematically, this is why it's a problem when, like, when you have too many things, like, and there's still a really significant trend of this, like, way too often, there are movies where, like, at least in America, where there are movies where all of the heroes are white and the villain is a person of color, and you do that too much, you start villain coding people of color, and that's horrible. So, yeah, like, media depicting an entire group of people on the whole as bad, and like in this it's not even ambiguous. It wasn't even like maybe a little too often the witches were the bad guys. It was like 100% of the time in the fairy tales the witches were evil, like, at least is the implication from this, and that's not okay. Like, Hans, buddy, you were profiling and you caused massive issues. And, like, you know, maybe if Lucettes' mother, like, she killed a human, if she killed him, like, I can understand how she got there. Like, I do still think it feels like maybe somebody could have sat down with him and been like, buddy, pal, maybe write a few good witches. And that's fair. Like, in a way, it kind of makes sense to a certain point, since it was usually Delora and Parfait talking, and they didn't have much reason to highlight the evil that humans did. After all, they were afraid that Lucette would start another war against humans. Yeah, that's fair. I guess when you look at it from that perspective, the like, you know, all of the stuff we get as actual backstory that's not, like, Lucette from Lucette's perspective is pretty blunt about, yeah, humans persecuted witches, and, like, it was a pretty bad time. And I can see why people who are afraid that Lucette would restart the war against humans would be like, maybe we de-emphasize the part where humans were terrible. So it makes sense in universe, but it's not the most responsible choice they could have made as writers out of universe, if that makes sense. So exactly, Ice Army. The way that, like, Hans Grimm depicted the witches as always the bad guys, not okay. Alright. So far, Lucette's mother is totally right in this flashback, and I will comment if she diverges and goes on a path that I think is wrong, but so far, yeah, no, I'm 100% with her. Good and evil. No one is totally evil, and no one is totally good. Even princes are not completely just. In fact, I think you'll find that there are a lot of princes that are specifically not just because they are people in positions of massive privilege who've often never really had to question it. And people in positions of massive privilege who've never really struggled in their life or had cause to question their position of privilege are often less good people for it. So, young Lucette. So, princes and princesses can be bad? Mother. Lucette, everyone has a darkness to them. The princes that throw themselves into danger are not selfless. They seek wealth, fame, or power. You see, fairy tales are lies because no one is so selfless and so full of love. People are two-faced. Okay, and now she's starting to delve into from the nothing's black and white, no one's completely good, no one's completely evil, into, and also no one's really good at all. And that I disagree with. Young Lucette. Silence. Mother. Trust no one. And we're right back to the emotional abuse red flags. Young Lucette. Yes, Mother. And even further into the emotional abuse red flags. Mother. No one will love you like I do. To find pure love like that is impossible. Yeah! Again, one of the biggest red flags you can have, like, nobody will ever love you the way I do, is usually an isolation tactic used by abusers. Alright, even then there was an ask in the tumble in which the developers said that one of the reasons why a certain villain was so loyal to the Tenebrarum Bearer was because she saved him from human cruelty, but the game never talks about this villain's backstory. That's kind of shitty, yeah. You know what? Most media is inherently flawed in some way, and so I will talk about the problems in this game, but obviously I'm not gonna, like, stop playing it, but it would be nice. I agree, I start me 100%. It would be nice if there was a better balance. That's one of the reasons I think it would have been nice if there was a witch hunter villain in the game. Yeah! Like, that would have been a really good way to balance it out. Like, have a human who is, like, after Lucette who is, like, trying to kill Lucette sheerly for the fact that she's the daughter of the wicked witch who started the war. And kind of presented the evil that humans are quite capable of. That would have been a nice way to balance this out a little better. Anyway, I slowly blink my eyes open. For a few moments, the room is blurry, and there is nothing but vivid colors before my eyes. Okay, actually, before I get back into it, I do just want to say, like, I think it's important, even when, like, my complaining about this at no point does it mean that I am not enjoying this story. I think it's important to be able to talk about, to be able to both enjoy media and talk, like, you're allowed to enjoy media even when it's problematic. I believe really strongly in that. But I also think it's good, especially, like, where I am doing this in a way that is a slightly public platform, to talk about the ways in which something is potentially problematic. So, I will do both, and I just want to say, if I'm complaining about a thing and I'm still playing it, it doesn't invalidate, like, I can enjoy a thing and call out its flaws at the same time, and I think that that's fine and good and healthy to do. Yeah! Alcaster could have been a witch hunter. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like, Alcaster would have been the perfect person to be like, here is the human embodiment of humans persecuting and hating witches for no good reason. But instead they're like, yeah, no, I'm not that big a fan of witches, but like, clearly the previous queen had the right idea, and it's like, they could have instead of that been like, had him, like, really hate witches and be like, I want to get back to those days because I want to reestablish the witch hunt, and that would have hit a better balance. I agree. I slowly blink my eyes open. For a few moments, the room is blurry, and there is nothing but vivid colors before my eyes. My eyes feel heavy, my throat scratchy. I stifle a cough as I blink back tears, and then, through my tears, I notice a slight motion. Lucette. Thinking to herself. Rumpel? Rumpel is slumped in a chair in front of my bed, his head lolled to the side, his eyes closed. He murmurs something in his sleep and then shifts. Lucette, thinking to herself. What's he doing here? I notice a notebook on his lap. Lucette, thinking to herself. And what is that journal? I slowly slide my hand out from underneath the covers and reach across the bed. Right as my fingers are about to brush the cover, Rumpel's hand suddenly falls on mine. Lucette, shocked. Rumpel. Looks like you're feeling better. He pulls his hand away, along with the book, before carefully setting my hand back down on the covers. Rumpel. At least you look better, but how do you feel? Lucette. Better. Rumpel looks tired, but his smile is still there. Rumpel. Oh, I won't believe it until I see it. Lucette. You just said I looked better. Rumpel. That's my own analysis, but you, my sweet princess, don't sound very convinced. Lucette. My throat is a little sore, and I think if I stood up, I would fall over. Rumpel, shocked. Lucette. Why do you look so surprised? Rumpel. You would usually never admit to such a thing, would you? You're still most definitely sick. Rumpel leans forward to put a hand on my forehead. His hand is cool on my hot skin. Our eyes lock as he tests my temperature. After a few moments, he finally peels his eyes away from me and sits back in his chair. Rumpel. Your temperature is down, but you definitely need the rest, princess. You should go back to sleep. Lucette. And what, you will just sit there and watch me? The words come out cuter than I meant. Sorry, I don't know if they're cuter. The words come out more curt than I mean them to, and for a few moments Rumpel looks surprised. Then he laughs. Rumpel. Princess, I haven't just been staring at you. I've been writing in my journal too. And also, this is kind of an interesting trope that I want to talk about. Someone just sitting there and watching someone that they're not already in a relationship with as they sleep is a little creepy on average, but I will say, I will grant an exception here because Rumpel is literally a doctor who is watching over her because she is sick with a pretty high fever, and that's, a really good reason, actually, to be watching her sleep. And, plus, he's also just sitting by her bedside doing stuff, and that seems that is, in my opinion, totally reasonable. Princess, I haven't just been staring at you. I've been writing in my journal, too. Lucette. Silence. Rumpel. You have such a scary look on your face. Not that it isn't enticing, but I think your smiles are much better. I sigh as I close my eyes for a few moments. I fight to put my scrambled thoughts back together, but one thought in particular keeps resurfacing. For some reason, I cannot help but remember the snide women standing by Rumpel's side, jeering at me earlier. Oh yeah, and that, I missed Ice Starmie. I kind of skimmed over the... It is a little frustrating that we're on chapter 7 and he's still, like, Rumpel still is at it with, like, the, like, over-the-top flirtation with other women is a little, like... But it feels like he hasn't learned his lesson yet. Like, nothing has happened that would, like, teach him that lesson. That what he's doing can be problematic. I open my eyes and look at Rumpel. Lucette, out loud. Those women from earlier. Rumpel. Oh, right. I apologize for their impoliteness. The things they said to you were uncalled for, and I told them that. Lucette, out loud. You flirt with women like that all the time. But why? They are not even good people. Rumpel. Not good people? But, well, I suppose they act differently when you're there. Princess Lucette, you're blind to their jealousy, aren't you? Lucette, shocked. They are jealous of me? Why? My mind turns over what they could possibly be jealous about as my eyes fall on Rumpel. I remember the way he defended me to the women. Out loud. Is it because you're my partner? Rumpel. It's a lot more than that. It's your grace, the noble way you carry yourself. Lucette. They would never think I have those qualities. Rumpel. But where else would their jealousy stem from? Whoa! Okay, I thought for a second that Rumpel was being surprisingly self-aware about the women being jealous of her because he's been showing special interest in her. But nope, that was me being extremely idealistic. He thinks they must just be jealous of her because of how great she is. It just hasn't occurred to him. It's coming back to that thing I was saying before, where Rumpel thinks it's all fun and games and doesn't realize that he's leading these women on. And that they're not in on it. That's not just fun pretend for them. They really have feelings for him and get jealous when he shows attention to that he's showing special attention to Lucette. And it's like, it makes sense when it's like, you know, when he's being equally flirtatious with the whole group, but he is obviously showing special attention to Lucette. So of course they'd be like, in fact, I've seen this happen in real life. You have a person who's just generally very flirtatious with people, doesn't realize the effect that they're having on those people, and those people are thinking, aren't realizing that it's just for play, for pretend, and think that there might be something there, and then see that person who's doing all the flirtation stuff actually start to fall for someone, and suddenly realize, oh, none of the shit he was doing with me was actually real. Well, that hurts. And yeah, exactly, Ice Starmie. Like, he still thinks the women are not serious and they're flirting with him, it seems. And it's like, that's a thing that happens in real life. There are people in real life that are that dense, who are like, I'm just gonna be super flirtatious with everyone. It's fine. And then, like, leaves a trail of really hurt people in their wake when it turns out that when they actually fall for someone, and suddenly there's a really, really visible difference in how that the flirtatious person treats the people that they're not serious with versus how they treat the person that they are. And I think if Rumpel realizes that what he's doing is really actually hurting people, he'll stop. I think so far he's still really freaking oblivious. And I just hope that before the end of this route he gets a clue and realizes that if he wants flirting to be fun and pretend and fake, he needs to clarify that and not just assume that people are on the same page with him. Or, you know, maybe he could stop altogether. Like, that's a thing. But on the other hand, I don't think there's anything wrong with him doing it if he were just making sure everyone was on the same page instead of letting all these women get led on. And just assuming that because he's not serious, they're clearly not serious. Like, that's a really... I don't know how to say it. I want to say almost immature assumption of him. Like, that because he doesn't mean it, they obviously don't. Like, it's irresponsible for sure. So, here's hoping that he learns that lesson by the end of the route. So, anyway, Rumpel. But where else would their jealousy stem from? Lucette. They are just jealous that I take your attention away from them. Rumpel. Princess, I think you're... Lucette. Even if they were nice people, I do not see how you can flirt with them when you were just recently in love with someone else. Rumpel, shocked. Normally I would stop talking, but the words continue tumbling out of me. Lucette. I do not understand how someone like you who had a fiancé could still be flirting with girls. How can you love someone if all you do is flirt with other girls? Flattery is one thing, but you cannot just flatter every girl. Rumpel. Silence. Lucette. Why are you still smiling at me? Rumpel. I may not remember a lot of things, Princess, but I know for certain that whatever feelings I had for Bria vanished a long time ago. The good ones, at least. Lucette. Rumpel. The words break apart as I start coughing. Rumpel. Don't rile yourself up over this. Please rest. I slowly lean back into my pillows with my eyes half closed. Lucette thinking to herself, why do I even care about what Rumpel does? Why does it bother me that he flirts with other girls? That is his business. Rumpel pulls the covers closer to my chin and smiles. Rumpel. Just because I flatter other women, that doesn't mean I can't love someone. Lucette. You always say some woman has stolen your heart, but your heart cannot belong to everyone. Okay, I do want to have a side note here. There is such a thing as polyamory. You can have multiple romantic interests at the same time. That is a thing. It's clearly not what's happening here, but just saying, that is a valid thing. It's like, obviously it's not what Lucette would want, and I don't think it's even actually what Rumpel wants, but okay, fine, your heart cannot belong to everyone is still a fair statement, but like, monogamy is not the only way, is all I'm saying. Monogamy is a totally valid way, and I think that's what both of them really want in the end, and that this is going to eventually be a monogamous relationship, but like, I just felt the need to like do a little bit of polyamory is also a valid lifestyle. Side note. But she's not wrong. Your heart cannot belong to everyone. And he is very flippant and careless with the way he flatters women. Like, that is, and it's a super problem because he does keep saying, you have captured my heart and stuff like that. And it's like, no wonder they think you're serious, Rumpel. Rumpel, silence. Lucette, yet you told me you always speak the truth. Rumpel, maybe that in itself is a little white lie. Just some harmless dramatics. But most girls know that I'm being dramatic, Princess. They don't take my words so seriously, even if I do mean my compliments. Again, are you sure of that? Why are you so sure of that? He stares at me for a few moments, thoughtful. Rumpel, does it bother you so much that I compliment other girls? Lucette, of course not. Rumpel, though it will be difficult to hold my tongue, I will do it for you, Princess, so don't worry. And okay. I'd still like for him to learn his lesson about why he should be a little more careful and thoughtful when he goes around flirting with all the women, but I will give him points for hey, it's making Lucette uncomfortable. I'll just stop. Like, for reals. I give him, he gets points for that from me. Like, regardless of if he understands why what he's doing is problematic, the fact that I have serious feelings for this girl and she is uncomfortable with me doing this, I'll stop. I have a lot of respect for that. Lucette thinking to herself, why would he do something like that for me? Because he likes you. My eyes are suddenly so heavy I have no choice but to close them as I let out a deep sigh. My head is beginning to hurt again. Behind my closed eyelids, I can hear a soft shuffle as Rumpel moves in his chair. Right before I fall back into the darkness of sleep, I feel something warm and soft on my forehead. Lucette, out loud. Rumpel? Rumpel. A good night kiss. His words are quiet, and I can only just barely make them out. I cannot think on them because the pull of sleep is much too tempting. And I will also give him some credit there that, like, it would have been very weird and uncomfortable if he had tried to, like, actually kiss her here because she's, like, super sick, but, like, a kiss on the forehead when they're, like, in an obvious, like, kind of circling around each other in the potential with the potential for romance. Like, kiss on the forehead is pretty harmless. His words are quiet and I can only just barely make them out. I cannot think on them because the pull of sleep is much too tempting. It takes a while, but after several days, Rumpel finally allows me to go back to work. I cannot remember much of what happened when he was watching over me, especially that first day. Ugh. Really? Really, Game just totally forgot the whole thing? It is all a little bit of a blur now, like it was all just a dream. I guess that's not totally unusual for someone with a severe fever. Ennis. Ah, Princess, back up on your feet. Lucette. Yes, I am fine now. Ennis. Oh, what a relief. Last I saw you, you looked quite pale. Lucette. When? Ennis. I dropped in to check on you in your room, but Rumpel was there. He told me that he had everything under control. Lucette. Why did you need to check on me? Ennis. Because I was worried, of course. Maybe you've been working too hard. Lucette. No, I am fine. Just tell me what things need to be done. I'm also happy that she and Ennis are friends in this. Like, or rather, Lucette hasn't totally realized they're friends, but they're friends. And, like, it's the little things like this, like, why would you check up on me? Because I was worried about you. It's good for Lucette to have experiences where people do things like that without ulterior motives, and learn that, hey, sometimes people do things without ulterior motives. Ennis. Are you sure you're okay? Delora. She's fine, Ennis. Delora suddenly appears before me, smirking. Delora. The princess is sturdy and a little too stubborn to let a little sickness get her down. Lucette, thinking to herself. I have not spoken with Delora or Parfait since the night where they decided to tell me about Mother. Just thinking about what they told me. It puts me on edge. Delora. Aw, princess, why the sour expression? Allow me to calm you down with a little lullaby. Lucette. Excuse me? Delora. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Lucette, shocked. Delora. How I wonder what you are. Lucette. Ennis, give me those work orders now. Delora. Up above the world. Nah, you know what? I had it. I lost the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Wow. Up above the world so high. Lucette. Ennis! Ennis. Oh, the tables on the west are yours, Princess Lucette. I quickly walk away from the bar and catch only the last little bit of Delora singing. Delora. Like a diamond in the sky. Lucette, thinking to herself. She sang that the night I was cursed. Hearing her sing it again is infuriating. The song slowly fades from my mind as I go about my work for the day. I am still a little shaky on my feet, but not so much that I need to go back to bed. As I am walking around the bar, I catch snatches of conversation as I serve food. Man A. I hear the king has been mediating arguments between his two advisors. Man B. That Mithros man? He reminds me of a snake, always smiling that slithery smile of his. Man A. That one in Alcaster. Apparently there has been no end to their squabbles. Woman A. The king missed his monthly visit to the town yesterday, didn't he? I wonder if he's sick. Woman B. There's been no word from the palace, but I suppose he must have come down with something. Woman A. Nothing would keep the king from visiting otherwise. Lucette, thinking to herself. What is going on at the palace? Man A. Ah, you heard about the incident with the Royal Guard? Apparently lots of them have been getting dishonorably discharged. Found doing something to dishonor the king's name. Yeah... Yeah, you know what, Ice Starmie, I agree. Like, Delora is kind of making fun of Lucette by reminding her of the day that she was cursed and became homeless. It's like, here, let me remind you of the trauma I put you through. That is a little shitty of her. Anyway, Man B. Huh? Like what exactly? Man A. Not sure. That information is still under wraps. Yeah, lots of knights getting dishonorably discharged. I'm wondering if Alcaster is setting up for his coup? Lucette. Silence. I am walking forward, not watching where I am going, when I collide with someone in my path. I feel a hand on my shoulder, and then another lifts my chin. Rumpel. If it isn't the lovely princess! You're looking a lot peachier today! Lucette. Silence. Rumpel. Because you're not as pale? Because the color's coming back to your skin? I am still thinking of the king and the situations in the palace, and barely hear Rumpel's words. It isn't until he leans closer to me and narrows his eyes that I realize he is so close. Lucette. Shocked. Rumpel. Ah, now Sleeping Beauty is truly awake. And here I was hoping I would have an excuse to plant a kiss on your lips, my sweet princess. Lucette. Silence. Rumpel. Not a single reaction today. Not a slight blush, not a slap, not... Are you still sick? Must I perform another examination? Lucette. Examination? Rumpel. Yes, by looking closely at your face, into your eyes. Lucette. How are you a doctor, Rumpel? Rumpel stares at me with surprise. I am not sure where the question came from, just that it was hovering in my mind. Rumpel. What? Princess, you wound me! Lucette. I have not seen you do anything different from Annis. Rumpel. But my prescriptions! Lucette. Even the people at the shops could tell us what medicines to buy. Rumpel. Silence. Fine, I'll show you. Rumpel's expression slips into something shockingly solemn. He looks at me gravely and extends a hand. Rumpel. If you would be so kind as to come up to my room. Delora. Does going up to your room have anything to do with work? Delora appears before me again, this time without the snide smile. She raises an eyebrow. I don't think either of your shifts are over. She looks at me first. Also, I meant for the lullaby to inspire you, not scare you, princess. Okay, Delora, if you're serious there, that was a weird life choice you made. For a few moments, she looks concerned, which startles me. Lucette, thinking to herself, the lullaby is certainly associated with a terrible memory, but the weight of the memory has dissipated over time, as has my anger at Delora. It is still there, but holding on to that anger does me no good. I sigh and shake my head. Lucette, you have a terrible voice. Clearly she's still bitter that he was flirting with other women, that's why she's snapping. I'm not sure that's actually true, Ice Starmie. It seemed to me like she was just really distracted because she's worried about the palace. Delora. Ah, there's the princess we all know and love. She crosses her arms. Anyway, you don't want me to sing you into action again, do you? Lucette. Shocked. Rumpel. Come to my room later then, princess. I'll show you proof. Lucette. Proof? Rumpel. That I am a capable doctor! Rumpel walks off, leaving me with Delora, who looks at me skeptically for a few moments. Delora. Something on your mind, princess? Lucette, thinking to herself. There were so many conversations I heard earlier, so many questions that I have. While I do not want to speak to Delora, I may as well ask her about something she might know. Out loud. I overheard rumors about the palace. Right? Delora, you need to, Delora, you need to work on your people skills if you think that was supposed to be inspiring. Yes, I totally agree, Ice Starmie. Like, really, Delora. Delora does need to work on her people skills. Like, yeah, she's a little... Anyway, Delora. Did you now? We still haven't confirmed those rumors yet. Lucette. Silence. Delora. Look, Princess, I know it's not in your nature to trust people, but trust Parfait and me at least. We'll let you know if something is up. I am ushered back to work, where I spend the next few hours searching for more information. Unfortunately, everything I hear is just speculation. Annis. Good work today, Lucette. Lucette. Has Rumpel already left? Annis. I think he went up to his room earlier. Lucette. Thank you. Annis looks at me, curious. Lucette. What? Annis. You and Rumpel have grown a lot closer, haven't you? Lucette. Well, we are partners. Annis. But in the beginning you didn't even want him as a partner. And now the two of you are... friends? Lucette. Shocked. Thinking to herself. Friends? If Rumpel considers me a friend, that should make me happy, but for some reason it makes me feel empty inside. Why? What else could we be besides friends? My cheeks feel warm as I try to think beyond the idea of just being friends with Rumpel. Annis. I'm happy the two of you get along. Lucette. Annis, I need to go. I told him I would meet him for something tonight. Annis. Oh, okay. Sorry for holding you up. Annis scrambles off, leaving me by myself. I stand there for a few moments in an attempt to still my thoughts, and then I begin to make my way to Rumpel's room. Lucette. Rumpel? The door swings open, and there stands Rumpel. With a dramatic bow, he ushers me inside, before closing the door behind him. Rumpel. I wasn't entirely certain you'd show up, Princess. Normally when you go places with me, it's out of necessity. Lucette. I only came to see this proof you insisted upon earlier. Proof that you are more than what you seem. He places a hand on my back and guides me over to a chair. He requests that I sit, and I do. Rumpel. Here it is, my proof. You tried to read it while you were sick, too. Aw, he's gonna let her read his notebook. Lucette. Your journal? Thinking to herself. I have seen him write in this before, but I thought it was for his memories, not for doctor things. He barely even works on patients now. Rumpel's persistence stokes my curiosity, and soon I find myself flipping through the pages of the book. Lucette. This was the journal you had when the Marchen found you on the streets. You said it was empty then. Rumpel. It was. I have been filling things in from my memory ever since I remembered my job. The book is filled with diagrams. Diagrams of the body, both inside and out. I have no idea what most of the words mean. Lucette. What are all the smaller words here? You know, I was wondering what his irrefutable proof would be, but I like this. It's like, here, let me show you my detailed anatomy drawings to show you that I know, like, the workings of the human body in a really sophisticated way that generally only a doctor would care about. Rumpel. Oh, parts of the pancreas. Not very fun to talk about. There's the papilla, the pancreatic duct. Lucette. Why is it necessary to use such big words for such simple things? Rumpel. For clarification, sometimes when you diagnose a problem, it isn't as simple as telling the person that their heart is weak. I continue flipping through it, with Rumpel sometimes explaining things that are on the page, though I do not ask for the descriptions. Scattered throughout the journal are journal entries about his life. When I get to the last entry, I spot my name and begin to read. But before I can even get to the next word after my name, Rumpel has taken the journal from my hands. Lucette, shocked. Rumpel. Ah, sorry, my sweet, but a man's words are sometimes all he has. Insult them and you break him from the inside out. Lucette, thinking to herself. He thinks I'm going to insult his writing? Rumpel. But what did you think? Aren't you impressed with my sophistication? My breadth of knowledge? My intricacy? Lucette. You drew some pictures and wrote fancy words by them. Rumpel. Shocked. Princess! I cannot help the little laugh that escapes my lips. Immediately after I hear it, I feel myself flushing as Rumpel grins at me triumphantly. Rumpel. Your laughs are sweeter than honey, princess. And because your voice is back and you're no longer sick, I can hear it in all of its fullness. He takes a step closer to me and reaches out to touch my cheek. I flinch in surprise, but do not draw away. The rapid beating of my heart is not altogether uncomfortable, even if it does confuse me. He pulls his hand away from my cheek, then flicks my forehead. Lucette, shocked. What was that for? Rumpel. I wanted to see the way your eyes glimmered. You looked oddly vacant there for a few moments. I open my mouth to speak again, but Rumpel surprises me by setting his finger on my lips. He inches closer to me, so close I can feel his breath on my cheeks. Rumpel. But even when you don't speak, your eyes speak for you. You have beautiful eyes, you know. Well, last time I went for the sappier option and it didn't work out, so this time I will go for the not sappy option and see how it goes. Lucette, thinking to herself. There he goes again with his compliments. I should be used to them by now, but lately, whenever he compliments me, I cannot stop myself from feeling flattered. When I look into his eyes, I can almost see my reflection in them. Without realizing, I look away from him, feeling my breath stop short before I can breathe out. Rumpel. Are you sick, princess? You look a little flushed. Princess? He removes his finger. He does not, however, step back. I am still aware of his lips, so close to mine, and his eyes, which are still looking right at me. Rumpel. This feels different than your usual resistance. Could it be that you're embarrassed? Lucette. Very blushy silence. He clears his throat, then starts speaking again. Rumpel. In any case, it's so nice to have you back, princess. I missed you while you were sleeping day in and day out. Day in and out. Lucette, thinking to herself. He missed me? Out loud. But you have friends all over the Marchen. Rumpel. Yes, but none of them are you. You're special. My heart plunges like a rock. I can feel it everywhere in my body, reverberating from a place that doesn't feel like my chest. He lowers his face so that the two of us are seeing eye to eye. I forget to breathe as his hands go to my shoulders. Rumpel. Princess? Lucette. Yes? I inhale sharply as I get a better look at Rumpel's face. Up until now, I have not stopped to look too closely at his features, but now I cannot stop my eyes from taking them in. Rumpel. Whenever you're sick again, I'll be there to help you, because I am a doctor, even if you might not believe it. All you'll ever really need is a little vitamin me. I'm sorry, that was so corny, I can't even. Wow. In one precious moment, every single bit of energy that had been between us vanishes. I stare blankly at Rumpel as he smiles at me. Lucette, silence. I can't remember ever seeing that look on her face before her. Rumpel. No? I thought that one was actually good, too. Rumpel pulls his hands away, defeated. I suddenly feel strangely upset. Lucette, thinking to herself. What was I expecting from him? What else could he have said? Suddenly I am eager to look away from him. I look anywhere but at him, and eventually my eyes fall on a piece of paper. I recognize the name printed on the top, along with Rumpel's signature and the response lying next to it. Rumpel moves to stand in front of the desk once more. Rumpel. Ah, that's... Oh, yep, okay, Starmie, that's the joke you were waiting for. The vitamin me joke. Wow. It was painfully corny. Oh man, broke all the tension in a single second. Rumpel. Ah, that's... Lucette. You are still writing to Bria? Rumpel. I sent her a letter asking for my old journals. I'm convinced that's where the last of my memories are, but she refuses to give them to me. Lucette. Silence. I glance at Bria's letter, my eyes scouring the words. I make a mental note of the address on the envelope. Rumpel. But don't worry, Princess, I'll figure it out. But for now. He reaches for me, but I duck out of the way of his hand. Lucette, thinking to herself. I have to do this now, while the address is still fresh in my head. Lucette, out loud. I just remembered there is something I need to do. Rumpel. But, Princess, I was just... Lucette. I will see you tomorrow. I pause at the doorway to glance at Rumpel. Rumpel. See you tomorrow, Princess. Sweet dreams. Lucette. Good night, Rumpel. Lucette. Done. I sealed the envelope over the letter I had been writing since I woke up. Lucette. And now to have it delivered. After I have the letter sent off with a messenger, I return to my work for the day. It starts first with Mr. Broom, then with the servant. I look for Rumpel, knowing that it is now his time off, and I am surprised when I see him sitting not with other women, but with Karma. Lucette, thinking to herself. The two of them are laughing together? Rumpel. I guess that advice isn't too terrible. Karma. I give the best advice, darling. I'm a man of the heart. Rumpel. Perhaps not as much as I am, but I can give you credit when it's due. Lucette. I like seeing them get along. I honestly do like seeing them get along. Because I get why they didn't get along, but I also think that in the right circumstances they would get along really well. So. Lucette. What are you two talking about? Rumpel. Shocked. Princess! Karma. Well, hello there, Princess. Karma's mischievous smile confuses me. Even Rumpel looks surprisingly shaken. Lucette. You did not answer my question. Karma. We're talking about matters related to the heart. Lucette. Of course you are. Karma. I took it upon myself to impart valuable advice to Rumpel. Lucette. You are giving Rumpel advice? Even though you two are always at each other's throats? Karma. Ha! Even the bitterest of enemies can become beloved friends. All it takes is a shared interest. Lucette. I have no idea what you are talking about. Rumpel. Silence. But before I can say anything else, I'm swept up by Delora, who calls me back to work. Okay, so my theories are either Rumpel asked for advice about Lucette because he's actually realized how much he really likes her, or he maybe asked for advice about the flirting problem. That would be really good, and then Karma would give really good advice about it because Karma has learned the lesson that Rumpel hasn't, but it was more likely to just be advice about his stuff with Lucette. Before I can say anything else, I'm swept up by Delora, who calls me back to work. The day goes on, and soon it is almost my break. I go to the front to see if the messenger has returned yet. Anis. Oh, Princess! There's a letter here for you. Lucette, thinking to herself. I did not expect a response. I open it up and stare down at the letter for a long time. Rumpel. Writing love letters to a secret lover, Princess? Lucette, shocked. Rumpel appears behind me, his smile unusually small. He looks almost hesitant to be standing there. Lucette. It is not important. I stuff the letter into my pocket and continue working. For the rest of the day, I ignore Rumpel. I do not want him asking about this letter, just in case things do not go according to plan. Lucette, you're gonna have him think that you're upset with him, and you're actually just trying to do something nice for him. He is obviously disheartened by my ignoring him, and his sadness only persists in making me feel guilty. Lucette, thinking to herself. This is not something he can know about, otherwise he will try to stop me. Almost everyone has gone to their rooms, including a very saddened Rumpel. The only people remaining are Anis and myself. Earlier, Waltz came in insisting that he speak to Delora and Parfait, and so the three of them are all off talking in the other room. Curiosity gets the better of me, and soon I find myself sweeping closer to the door. I edge it open quietly with my foot so I can see what is happening inside. Waltz. I didn't think he was still alive. Parfait. This is very troubling. Waltz. He must have used a glamour. But the fact I didn't realize it was him, Delora. Is that the princess I spot peeping through the door? Lucette, shocked. I try to hide, but all of the eyes in the room catch me before I can do so. Delora. Do you eavesdrop on people often, Lucette? Lucette, thinking to herself. I had no real reason to eavesdrop on them besides my own curiosity. Parfait. It's no harm done, Delora. Lucette, are you almost done with your chores? Ever since that conversation with Parfait and Delora, I've noticed that the words Parfait and I speak to each other are strained. Delora, however, is unchanged. I expect sarcasm from her now, but she does not deliver. She simply stands still and looks at me somberly. Lucette. I am. And what are you all talking about? Hiding more things from me? Parfait. Silence. Waltz. We're talking about the rumors that have been going around about the palace. Lucette. What have you heard? I have a right to know what is happening at the palace. Parfait. We would tell you if we knew for certain, Princess. Waltz. Silence. Waltz sighs as he runs a hand through his hair. I know the timing doesn't seem right, but I really should show myself out. I have a show early tomorrow morning. He glances around at all of us. I'm going to excuse myself for the night. Good night, everyone. As he passes by me, he smiles. And to you too, Princess. Lucette, thinking to herself. Once again, everyone is being secretive. Delora. Why the sour face, Princess? Are you worried about what happens to the people in the palace you cared nothing for? Parfait. Delora. Lucette. Silence. Delora. Okay, that was uncalled for. But really, though, there is something I've been meaning to tell you. Since you're here now, I might as well say it. I knew you for 1 year before I cursed you. I saw what your mother had done to you, and I knew I needed to undo the damage before your birthday. Lucette, thinking to herself. Why is she talking about this now? Delora. Delora's apologizing! I am here for this! I wish she apologized in every word! I'm going to at least headcanon that she has this conversation with Lucette off-screen in every single iteration of every single run, because I need this to happen. Delora. Continuing. Delora. I called you cruel and wicked, when really I knew that the way you were was caused by the way your mother brought you up. Parfait. Silence. Delora. And when we talked about Hildir the other day, I was unfair in what I said to you. We all have to face reality, but... Delora pauses, looking surprisingly solemn. She sighs, then continues. I always knew you had some good in you. I saw it in you when you spoke to your dolls. You have a good heart. Where is this? Where is this heartfelt, essentially apology from Delora? Every single route. I wanted this from her, like, the whole time. This is so good. I'm so, like, because this is the read I got, right? Like, I was like, Delora's just sarcastic by nature, and she's being a lot harsher than she actually thinks. That's what I always kind of thought, but it's really nice to have the confirmation. And, like, I bet it's really, really nice for Lucette to hear that, too. So, anyway. Lucette, shocked. Rumpel. Many people enjoy flattery, Princess, and a lot of people are receptive to flirting. But nothing can measure up to a genuine compliment. Delora? Lucette, thinking to herself. Delora just complimented me? I'm just so happy to hear Delora actually say all that. Like, I know that you are only the way you are because of the way your mother treated you, and I know you have a good heart. Like, I wish she had said that to Lucette, like, on day one, but I'm glad she said it at all. Anyway, I'm gonna go with thank you. Lucette thinking to herself. Out of all people, I did not expect Delora to compliment me. Not when she makes a point of always telling me the blunt truth. Out loud. Thank you. There is no shock on Parfait and Delora's faces when they smile at me. Parfait. I'm beginning to think that you and Delora are alike. You're both stubborn and have good in you, but you hide it behind sarcasm. Delora. Hey, Lucette and I are nothing alike. Lucette thinking to herself. I feel, Okay, so, Ice Army said, there should be a conversation like this in all routes, indeed, but as far as I can remember, only Fritz and Rumpel's route has Delora say something like this. That's a pity, because it's such an important thing, and, like, certainly nothing will stop me from headcanoning that Delora has this conversation with her eventually in every route. But it would be nice if she had it for realsies in every route, like, in the game content. I'm glad it exists at all, at least. Lucette thinking to herself. I feel lighter somehow. I do not know if I have forgiven Delora just yet, but her cursing me has led me to see many things I would not have seen before. I owe her nothing, but I am still happy, even if the truth hurts. And I think that Lucette's response to that is totally reasonable. Like, I'm still a little upset with, like basically, I feel like I can forgive her now. I don't feel like I owe her anything for this, but I can forgive her for it. Rumpel. Oh, what's this? My lovely little princess is in here with you two? Parfait. Ah, Rumpel, you're early tonight. Lucette, shocked. Rumpel. Surprised to see me, beautiful? Rumpel's earlier anxiety is gone. He looks at me with unbridled enthusiasm. Rumpel. I heard the princess's thank you from a distance. The words are always most beautiful when leaving her mouth. Lucette, silence. Delora. So you were also eavesdropping. You two are very alike. Lucette. Not at all. Rumpel leans towards me and smiles. Out loud. Rumpel. My dream is to one day hear those words from you two, because you say them as gentle as the wind. Yes, okay, I'm glad that felt like the correct response was to say thank you in that moment, so I'm glad that was correct, because I would have been sad if it wasn't. Lucette, shocked. Delora. If you're here to talk to Parfait about medicine... Oh wait, sorry, I was doing the wrong voice. If you're here to talk to Parfait about medicine, then I'm out. Lucette, you should leave too. Rumpel. Well then, sleep well, beautiful maidens. I quickly finish my chores and return to my room, where I lay on my bed contemplating tomorrow. Lucette thinking to herself, I cannot believe Brio wrote back to me. Tomorrow I will meet with her, and hopefully she will agree to give me his journals. I hope this works. For Rumpel's sake. I'm gonna say right now, this feels like her second, like it's gonna end up counting as her second good deed. Alright, and that was chapter 7. I'm hoping to stay on a more regular schedule. I know that I've missed a couple of Mondays in the past month or so, and I'm gonna try, like, my schedule, my IRL non-streaming schedule has evened out a little, so I think that that's less likely to come up, so I should be, but, like, I always, if I am gonna miss, like, if I am suddenly and unexpectedly gonna miss a thing, I always try to at least post it on my Twitter, which is linked in my Twitch About page, but I will try very hard to stick back to my regular schedule, and not have a bunch of random last-minute cancellations, so yeah, so that said, that means I should be back at it next week, and my next stream otherwise, no, I'm not going to be doing one this Wednesday, so I think I'll not be streaming again until Friday, when I will be continuing Kirby's Adventures, and probably doing something multiplayer in the evening, so hope to see some folks there, and I hope to see you next week, Ice Army, and where I will be picking back up with Chapter 8. Alright, bye!